Something shifted in the last 48 hours, and it did not look like diplomacy. Iran says it shot down what it identified as an Israeli surveillance drone inside its territory, a claim Israel has not publicly confirmed. IRGC commander Ahmad Vahidi declared that Iran's armed forces are at their highest level of readiness across every domain, and Tehran publicly denied a report that it had agreed to surrender its most sensitive nuclear material. 3 moves, 3 signals, all delivered while US and Iranian negotiators are reportedly edging toward a preliminary framework that is still disputed on key terms. If this is what de-escalation looks like, it is indistinguishable from preparation. Because each of those signals, taken separately, could be interpreted as routine posturing. Taken together, on the same timeline, they look like a country positioning itself for either a deal or a resumption of hostilities, and making sure the other side cannot tell which one is coming. Iran's Mehr news agency reported that Iranian forces, working with naval units, recovered wreckage they described as an Israeli-made orbiter drone in Hormozgan province. Hormozgan overlooks the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most contested and strategically sensitive stretches of water in the world. Israel has not officially commented on the claim. The orbiter is an Israeli-made reconnaissance platform, though the model identification in this case remains based on Iranian reporting. Iranian outlets have previously identified similar drones in earlier intercept claims, though those identifications have not been independently confirmed. Whether this was a routine surveillance flight intercepted by standard air defenses or something more deliberate in its timing is a question neither side has answered. Commander Major General Ahmad Vahidi, speaking on Iran's National Day of Resistance, said the country's armed forces stand at their highest level of readiness and active deterrence across all dimensions: missile, air, naval, ground, space, and cyber. Vahidi called the 2026 conflict the third imposed war and said the IRGC's response, backed by what he described as the epic presence of the people, denied the enemy all its objectives. He then issued the line that carries the most weight: any renewed aggression by the enemy will draw a destructive and hellish response at the regional and beyond regional level. That tone is familiar, but its timing is notable. It arrived on the same day Tehran was publicly rejecting reports that it had made a major nuclear concession. The New York Times reported, citing 2 US officials, that Iran had allegedly agreed in principle to give up its highly enriched uranium stockpile, a claim Tehran quickly denied to Reuters. The report suggested Tehran had broadly accepted the idea of relinquishing the material while technical details would be negotiated later. If that account ever holds up, it would rank among the most significant nuclear concessions discussed in years. But Tehran moved quickly to reject the report. A senior Iranian source told Reuters that no agreement exists regarding Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpile to be shipped out of the country. The source said the nuclear issue itself is not part of any preliminary understanding currently under discussion. Iran insists it will only be addressed during future negotiations tied to a final comprehensive agreement.
The oil prices are going to tumble as soon as I finish up with Iran. Tumble. Boom. I was in Iowa. We had it down to $1.85 a gallon in Iowa, but we had it down around the $2 point. And then I said, well, Lutnick, we're going to have to take a trip to, we got Scott Bessent, we got all of them. I said, we just hit 50,000 on the Dow, and I said, that's a record, highest ever. I said, sorry to do this to you, but we're going to have to journey down to the Middle East. They said, why? I said, because Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon if we don't stop them. And I said, we're going to have to do it, and we have stopped them. They're not going to ever have a nuclear weapon. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. And we'll have that over with soon. It'll be over with soon, and you're going to see numbers like you've never seen, both on the upside and also in terms of costs. You're going to see costs go down. But, you know, the Democrats are the ones that caused all the costs. Our warriors are ensuring that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran, #1 state sponsor of terror. They send their money all over the world to create problems. Never going to happen, and they're never going to have a nuclear weapon, and they know that. They know that. And America is winning again. America is respected again, perhaps like never before, but we're just getting started.
At the same time, Axios reported that Washington and Tehran are nearing a 60-day memorandum of understanding that could later be extended by mutual consent. According to the report, Hormuz would reopen with no tolls and Iran would clear mines that US officials say were deployed in the strait. Washington would lift its port blockade and issue sanctions waivers to let Iran resume oil sales. US officials cited in the report said the agreement would give significant relief to the global oil market. Iran wanted frozen funds released immediately and permanent sanctions relief, but the US side said that would only happen after tangible concessions were made. The deal, if it materializes, would be the clearest formal framework yet to emerge from months of back-channel diplomacy, but it would not address the nuclear file.
As for threats and such, don't even talk to us about threats. I don't think anyone would even allow themselves to bring a threatening message to us from any side. Rest assured about that. The mediator's special task here, Pakistan, is the continuation of diplomacy. And honestly, we must appreciate the performance of our Pakistani friends who have made great efforts in these few weeks. These visits are also in line with fulfilling their duty as mediators of the talks between Iran and America. We have always expressed our appreciation. Mediators have a difficult and complex job because one side constantly changes its views and is also full of contradictions. The reason for the frequent visits by the mediator to Iran and the interactions we have with each other is precisely because this is an important and complex task. Our official mediator is indeed Pakistan, in the precise sense of the word. At the same time, there are other parties trying to help, and we thank them as well. Qatar is one of them. In any case, it is natural for regional countries to be concerned about regional peace and security. They witnessed how the actions of the United States and the Zionist regime against Iran could lead to conflict throughout the entire region. Therefore, they tried not to withhold any help they could in this regard. The presence of a delegation from Qatar over these past 2 or 3 days was also for this same purpose, to facilitate parts of sections of the Memorandum of Understanding. Our intention has been to first draft a Memorandum of Understanding or an agreement in the form of a framework agreement consisting of 14 points. And in this Memorandum of Understanding, the most important issues necessary for ending the imposed war and the items that are important to us are fundamental be included in it, so that within a reasonable time frame of 30 to 60 days, the details of these issues can be discussed, and ultimately we can reach a final agreement. We are in the final stages of this Memorandum of Understanding. The subject and American maritime aggressions, what they themselves have termed a naval blockade, and issues related to the release of Iran's blocked assets. These are the main points addressed in this Memorandum of Understanding. The Strait of Hormuz has nothing to do with America. The Strait of Hormuz between us and Oman as coastal states must have a mechanism defined for it. And of course, we are also in contact with the relevant international organizations. We have had several rounds of meetings with the Omani side. We will certainly talk to other countries because we are aware of the importance of this waterway for the entire international community. The international community has concluded that the insecurity imposed on this waterway is caused by the aggressive actions of the United States and the Zionist regime. The nuclear issue at this stage, we are not discussing the details. We know that our nuclear issue has been a pretext for 2 aggressive wars against the people of Iran. At the same time, we have past experiences where we were illegally attacked during nuclear negotiations. So we decided responsibly and wisely that at this stage, and prioritize and focus on the issue that is urgent for all of us, which is ending the war on all fronts, and I emphasize, including Lebanon,